The airport was quiet. Too quiet for a man who was used to chaos following him everywhere. Ethan Zhao, a self-made Chinese-American millionaire, had just finished a business trip in Shanghai. His private jet gleamed under the runway lights, guarded by two men in uniform. Everything seemed normal, until a small voice broke the silence. A little girl, no older than 7, tugged her mother's sleeve and whispered something in panic. Her mother shushed her, but the girl's eyes were wide, terrified. She had overheard something she shouldn't have, words in Mandarin that didn't belong to a routine night. Moments later, she ran toward the departing millionaire, breathless, desperate to stop him before it was too late. What had she heard? And why would a child risk everything to warn a stranger she'd never met? Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Stay until the end to discover the truth. Ethan Zhao wasn't just another rich man. He was a story of grit. Born in a poor Los Angeles neighborhood to immigrant parents, he'd clawed his way out of obscurity. His company, Green Core Industries, had just signed a billion-dollar clean energy deal. But despite his success, Ethan had always felt like an outsider, too Asian to be entirely accepted in the American boardrooms, and too westernized for the old-world elite in Shanghai. That night, as he prepared to board his private jet home, he felt a sense of pride and exhaustion. Years of proving himself had paid off. Cameras flashed, and a small crowd gathered behind the fences. Among them stood the little girl, Mei Lin, waiting with her mother for a relative's flight. Ethan barely noticed her at first. But fate had other plans, because while he saw the guards as mere employees, she heard the venom in their voices, the hatred disguised as obedience. Mei Lin didn't understand all the words, but she recognized enough. Her father had been a translator before he died, and she'd picked up fragments of Mandarin he'd taught her, phrases about money, betrayal, and death. The guards stood near the plane's door, their voices low but their tone sharp. "Make it look like an accident," one said. "Once he's inside, no one will suspect." Her heart pounded. The words sounded like a movie scene, but the fear in their voices was real. She pulled her mother's hand. "Mama, they said they'll hurt that man." Her mother frowned, thinking she was imagining things. But when Mei Lin looked again, the guards were already moving closer to the stairs. Inside the terminal, Ethan received a text from his assistant. "Flight ready, sir." He gathered his briefcase, unaware that the danger waited just meters away. Mei Lin broke free from her mother's grasp and ran. Security tried to stop her, but she screamed, "Stop! Don't get on the plane!" Her tiny voice echoed across the tarmac. Ethan turned, startled. The guards froze. For a moment, no one moved. Then one of them barked in English, "Sir, please step back. We'll handle this." But the girl's urgency made him hesitate. That hesitation saved his life. Because in the next instant, one of the guards reached for something hidden beneath his jacket, a motion too quick, too deliberate. The wind howled, the engines roared, and the night seemed to hold its breath. The explosion never happened, but it could have. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He stepped back, dropping his briefcase. The second guard lunged toward the first, shouting something Ethan couldn't understand. Then came the flash, a spark under the stairs, a muffled thud, smoke. The plane's doorway erupted in fire. Chaos swallowed the runway. Alarms blared, people screamed, and Mei Lin was pulled to safety by her terrified mother. Ethan stood frozen, watching his jet burn, realizing he had been seconds away from death. In the confusion, the guards vanished into the darkness. Airport security flooded in, but it was too late. The attackers were gone, ghosts in uniforms. Later, investigators discovered that the attack wasn't random. It was racially motivated, organized by a radical nationalist group targeting Chinese Americans in finance, accusing them of selling out their heritage to Western interests. Ethan sat on the cold concrete, soot covering his hands as reality sank in. He had spent his whole life trying to bridge two worlds, and tonight, both had nearly destroyed him. The next morning, the story broke across global news outlets. Billionaire saved by little girl after foiled airport attack. Reporters called it miraculous. But for Ethan, it was haunting. He met Mei Lin and her mother at the hospital, bringing flowers and gratitude. She smiled shyly, unaware that her courage had changed the course of a man's life, and perhaps the way the world would see him. Ethan promised to fund her education, to make sure her bravery would never be forgotten. But deep inside, a new understanding settled in. Money, power, and prestige couldn't shield him from the hate that still lingered in shadows. This wasn't just about one man. It was about millions who live between cultures, constantly proving, always surviving. Racism wears many faces, sometimes hidden behind language, uniforms, and silence. So ask yourself, how many voices like Mei Lin's are ignored every day? And if you heard the warning, would you listen? Comment below and tell me where you're watching from. Take care.